Hey folks, this is part two of my books. So hopefully you liked part one, and I'm going to continue on. And I got to move quick because this is exhausting. Uh, so here we go. I'm just going to turn this around. I'm going to start with what's ever in front of me. This is called Road Work. Rock and Roll Turned Inside Out by Stephen Wright, forward by Townsend. This got a lot of Townsend things in here, but these are stories, just great stories and photos of a guy who hung out with the rock and roll crowd. I Again, pictures that you'll never see. This is a cool one in the back here of the author getting a haircut by Daltrey. So he was really in tight with the Who, and these are great stories. If you ever see this, this is really cool. The Rolling Stones on tour. This is from, I believe, 75. This is beat up, but the price was like $1, so I'll take it. Led Zeppelin, the story of a band and their music. Just, full of great photos and information. Rolling Stones gear. I got this for my birthday. Phenomenal book, folks. If who's ever into the instruments and guitars and love the Stones, get this book. You will not be disappointed. It's so well done. Look at it, and it's thick. It's like a textbook. Let's see. Rock Greats and Legends of the Big Screen. So these are just little artifacts. Martin Guitar Masterpiece. The Electric Guitar. The Life and Works of Andy Warhol. Bob Dylan's Scrapbook contains photographs. So this is sort of that book that has all these little inserts in it. Encyclopedia of Jazz in the 60s. This is actually the real deal from the 60s. You can tell by that cover. The Encyclopedia of Jazz, Leonard Feather. These are old. These are punk magazines that I collect, vintage guitar magazines. I won't get into that. History of the Blues, The Roots, The People from Charlie Patton to Robert Cray. The Chord Bible, okay, you don't need that. Buddy Holly's story. More songs. This is Talking Heads guitar books. These are guitar books. Blues, Elvis guitar book, Bowie guitar book, Pink Floyd, The Wall guitar book. I'm making a mess now. Okay, I showed this book. This is the Rolling Stones, one that had inserts. Complete book of guitar. Look at that. That's wild. Punk, the whole story. Just pictures, as you can imagine. Great book. CBGB's. The book about them. Hilly Crystal, etc. What do I have here? I have Alternate Tuning. This is a guitar book. These are just some of my sports stuff. Yankees, Giants, New York City, history of New York. Rock and Roll in London. This book talks about all the locations in London and what went on in that time. So, they say here's Hempstead and areas of fame, what happened, where Hendrix lived, etc. Classic rock stories behind great songs. Celebration Day, the Led Zeppelin Encyclopedia. This is a cool book, talks about all the songs and information. I love this book, 1,000 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. Of course, everybody has different thoughts and feelings about what should be. You may disagree, but it's a good barometer. The Clash. Look at that cover. Pink. Shocking pink. All about the Clash. Great book. Rock and Pop Timeline. Just goes throughout, just these little informational thing, timeline. This is a book I'm reading now, Lou Reed's story. I'm reading this one now, Raising Cain. This is the wild and raucous story of Johnny Winter. Johnny Thunders in Cold Blood. That's on my list. Recently got this. I talked about the Blue Note, talked about Johnny. Alternative Rock. This is a book talking about all the alternative bands and their albums. I talked about Big Star, recently got that. Really the Blues, Mesro, and Bernard Wolfe. I got this book recommendation from Keith Richards. He told me personally. No, just kidding. In his book, Life, he talks about this book and how it is just a great book talking about the time period in the 20s and how this guy really invented a lot of lingo, etc. So this is cool. If you want family trees, this is Peter Frame. Maybe I could do a special on this, but this is a tree of groups, the Velvet Underground. Oh, let me see. It has LA groups, Iron Maiden. It just talks about their chronological history and who they started with. It's just a great read. Buddy Holly. There's a whole mess of people. But look for Peter Frame, and you could see all this stuff. Really neat stuff. George Harrison, I mentioned this book. Neil Young, I mentioned this book. This is a cool book. $2, $3. The Encyclopedia of Jazz and Blues. This one just has all the folks in here, just little write-ups about every one of them. It's just so cool. Graham Parsons, this is a music biography of Graham. Another punk magazine talking about their top 25 albums. I mentioned this one, Canyon of Dreams, Laurel Canyon, the book about that times in the 60s. 5 Decades of Rock Exposed. This is a phenomenal book. It shows all these pictures and even talks about the scenes and just really neat, fun things here. Some of them are pretty obvious pictures, but just cool stuff. Rock Exposed, and this is I think, is this Nick Rock? Anyway, I mentioned this, the Hendrix book, book on him. Neil Young, Waging Heavy Peace. It's a nice thick book on him. This is Our Band Could Be Your Life. I think I talked about this one already. Buffalo Springfield, I talked about that one. A guitar book. My guitar thing, Rock On. Encyclopedia of Rock and Roll. The Book of Rock from the 50s to today. Just little one-page things on all these bands. The Beatles, A Hard Day's Right, the story behind every song. I talked about this book, I believe, The Rock Posters, which is really neat. Oh gosh, I am getting old. Old Gods, Almost Dead, Rolling Stones. Virgin Records, the story of Virgin Records. Encyclopedia of Punk. I know a lot of you folks have this one. This is a must-have. The Rolling Stone interviews, talking with the legends of rock and roll. Great book. Great articles in here. You know, it has a whole great list of people that are the articles. Rockabilly. This is cool. The Art of the LP. Classic album covers. I can't go through all this. Graham Parker, The Other Life of Brian. My wife would pick a lot of these up from libraries. Guitar Stories. Guitar Heaven. Forward by Les Paul. Most Famous Guitars to Electrify Our World. Oh, so these are folks who play the guitars and what they jam with. The Complete Guitarist, okay, the guitar book, acoustic guitar, illustrated guitars. Ronnie Wood's Smile. This is a book, before his biography. Jazz, the American Theme Song. Jazz, beautiful, cool book. Jeff Dyer. Rolling Stones, Myths and Stories from a Half a Century. Pete Fornatel, a New York DJ. Iggy and the Stooges, Raw Power by Mick Rock. Inside Out, A Personal History of Pink Floyd by Nick Mason. The Doors. Okay, I am narrowing it. Cool. Rocky Horror Picture Show. Nico. I showed this book before. Stone Alone. This is Bill Wyman. Ballad of Bob Dylan. A Portrait. Daniel Epstein. The Dark Stuff. This is, as I mentioned before, this one, again, is Nick Kent. New York City Rock, A Rock and Roll in the Big Apple. Diary of a Rock and Roller, Mott the Hoople. Les Paul. This is a great book, a little dirty. Light and Shade, Conversations with Jimmy Page, Brad Tolinsky. Cool book. Came out maybe a year ago. Great interviews in here. Stuff that you don't know, but didn't hear about. Rolling Stones Complete Recording Sessions. Great book, Johnny Rotten. No Irish, No Blacks, No Dogs. Chuck Berry, Autobiography. Warhol. Steven Tyler's book. Whatever it's called, I don't know. Does the noise in my head bother you? Pink Floyd, The Music and the Mystery. Rod Stewart's autobiography. So these were like $1 each, $2. It's amazing. Greg Allman, My Cross to Bear. Garcia. Who Am I? Pete Townsend. This is a book about all David Bowie's songs and what they mean. This is one of David's recent books, Inside David. Great stuff in here. If you're a Bowie fan, gosh, get this book. I know he has another one out, but this is just phenomenal stuff. Talks about his gear, his outfits he would wear, how he got the ideas, the artists that help him. It's just a great book for any Bowie fan. 50 Years. This is the Stones book. This is a cool book. This is a Story of the Blues. This is a Tommy Hilfiger book. Again, this was $1. Of course, I got it because of this cover. But these have these big pictures in it. And, this is the size of my hand. So this is cool pictures. Look at that. These are like poster pictures. Really neat. Rod the Mod. Look at Crosby. So it says, I guess this is things that Hilfiger gave to the bands to wear on stage. So this is about patriotism. So I guess Axl wearing his shorts, or maybe not, because I doubt he gave him his niche that. Anyway, military look. All right, so this is a military look. All right, here's Bowie, bowling. This is great, New York Dolls. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. I could go on and on. I love this stuff. Thank you for watching, being patient. I really hope you got something out of this. Post anything that you have for your books. I'd love to learn new things too. Okay, all. Thank you. I hope you have a good one, and see you soon. Bye-bye.